Hi. Well, it's lunchtime, and we're gonna make a couple things. Here is an acorn squash. We're gonna wash this and roast it. My butternut squash thing the other day it worked out okay. I could eat it. That soup wasn't that tasty, so we're just gonna roast this because these squashes are just so good roasted. I'm just washing it and gonna chop it up. So let's see here. Maybe I'll bring this closer. Let's see if that works. Okay. Can you see this? Yeah. Well, I've been looking forward to hanging out and cooking with you. I like this. Okay, which knife are we going to use? What is the difference between these two? Well, I'm not quite sure what the difference is. I'm just going to use the one that's got these little divots in the steel, so hopefully it won't get us stuck, because this squash is pretty tough. Gotta be careful not to hurt yourself. Wow. Good thing I've been working out at the gym, because this is hard. This is hard work. All right, we did it. This is what it looks like inside. I think I'm gonna cut it into quarters. I think I used the other knife for the other acorn squash the other day, and this one works better because I think those little divots on the steel keep it from getting like suctioned in there. Maybe, might be just imagining it. Sorry for the banging. These are not easy to cut. Almost there. Yeah. Cool. I'm just gonna scoop out the, didn't get the oven ready. So we're gonna do 400 degrees for, they say 30 to 45 minutes. So that's Fahrenheit. So we'll just kind of go on the shorter end, 35 minutes. Scoop out these seeds. I don't think I've ever made acorn squash until like a couple days ago, and it's really delicious. Just by itself. I mean, you don't even have to really add anything. I mean, you could. You could put a little butter or something on it. But even just by itself, it's really good. Halfway there. I'm really hungry. Oh, did I already do this one? I am confused. I don't remember doing this one, but I must have. Okay, there's 4 slices. And I'm going to throw this away. Okay. Good. Gonna wash the knife. OMG, so hungry. Oh man. I can't wait for the squash. I gotta eat something else. Dang. What are we going to do? Alright. I don't think I have any rice. Nope. Alright, so we're gonna make some quinoa. Oh yeah, that sounds good. So, just get a pot here. I have this song in my head. Billie Eilish song. What's it called? It's called "Birds of a Feather." Oh man, what a great song! I really like that song a lot. Oh shoot. Okay. I was going to put a cup in, but I ran out. But we've got more. Costco, Kirkland brand, organic quinoa. Now, I didn't grow up eating quinoa. In fact, I didn't even know how to pronounce it. I hope I'm pronouncing it correctly now. Quinoa. But I think that, let's see. I used to say it quinoa, quinoa. But I think it's quinoa, like 2 syllables. We're gonna wash this real quick. I think it's like a 1-to-2 ratio of water, or quinoa to water. So I'm putting these acorn squashes in here, and you know, some recipes call for like slathering it in oil, but we are not going to do that. Now I'll talk about why in a second, but before I do that, I'm going to start this. Okay, so I'm gonna boil the quinoa for 10 minutes once it starts boiling. So we got to check on it in a little bit. So oh my, so hungry. Oh, all right, we're gonna chill here for a little bit while it gets ready. And I guess I can eat some nuts or something while I wait. Wow. Wow. I had kind of a busy morning. Oh, here's Doobie. Hey girl, you want some peanuts? You like it a peanut? You want some? Here you go. Here. Well, she sometimes gets scared of things hanging down like this red table runner. Here, let's give her some more peanuts. Now, surprisingly, dogs can't eat nuts, but they can eat peanuts because peanuts are actually a little different than regular nuts. They're actually in the legume family, so they're like peas almost. Here you go. That's it. Okay, girl. That's good. Oh, you want? Okay, you can have all that. Yeah. They're in the legume family, even though they are nuts. Oh well, since we're up, we might as well look at our oyster mushroom thing. Now, I thought this little guy that's poking up here. Now I'm gonna zoom in. I thought this guy was a mushroom, but it looks like a plant. Somehow it got in there. But it's gonna be surrounded by mushrooms in a couple of weeks. Like, this is all solid now. All the white stuff is fungus. And oyster mushrooms are gonna peek out of these slits that I cut in maybe a couple weeks, but we're not quite there yet. All right. I'm gonna just check, make sure that the quinoa is going. Oh, spoiling. Okay. 10 minutes. 10 minutes for the quinoa. 11:31. Gonna keep track. Well, I hope your day is going well. My day's going well. I had a busy morning, went to the DMV to get the title of that van transferred from my friend in Nevada to Washington. And wow. Government stuff costs a lot of money. It's like $350 to transfer the title from Nevada to my name in Washington and pay all the fees. Pretty incredible. But it's done. And then I went to the gym to lift some weights. So I haven't been a big like weightlifting kind of person in my life. The only time I did that was in college when I was on the rowing team or crew team for 1 year, and just my freshman year. I lifted weights during that time, and my second year, even though I wasn't on the team anymore, I still lifted weights. But that's kind of like the only time I ever really lifted weights in my life. So I've gotten started in that lifting weights maybe a month or two ago, maybe 2 months ago, but more regularly over the last month, and it feels good. But I get really hungry afterwards. I think it's my body like wanting to get more protein and energy. I feel stronger, like moving bundles of firewood. Like there's bundles of firewood at the grocery store, and before, when I pick it up, I would kind of struggle, and I have to like hold it close to me and then put it in the van or the SUV, and just hard. But now I can pick up the bundle of wood, and it's heavy, but I can just pick it up and I can just put it where I want. I don't have to like struggle so much. So I'm happy about that. I think that'll also help just like my hormonal levels too, because I know muscle can give you more testosterone, more energy. It takes in sugar too, so it can help your insulin and other hormones. So yeah, I'm glad I'm doing that part. I always liked, well, not always, but I when I did exercise, I used to only do like cardio, and I like cardio. I like walking and running and jogging and swimming, but this is kind of a new thing for me. It feels good. Well, today is a 5-a-day episode. A 5-a-day means if I can get a minimum of 5 servings of vegetables and fruit in the day, then my body and microbiome, the microbiome is the 100 trillion bacteria that live in our gut that we live in symbiosis with, which means we're friends and we help each other. If I can get 5 servings minimum, then both me and my microbiome can be healthy and help each other. So let's see. How many have I gotten today? I had 1 banana and half a kiwi, and I had oatmeal for breakfast. So whole grains don't count to that 5 a day, but they're excellent. Oatmeal is excellent in fiber. That's good for your microbiome and you. But I've only had one and a half servings, and peanuts don't count. Well, yeah, I don't think they count. These are unsalted. That brings up an important thing. But while I talk about the salt issue, I'm gonna get a fruit. And some cherry tomatoes. Oh, and I forgot to put the vent on. Okay, the vent is really important when you have a gas stove. Because there are gases that are byproducts of burning the natural gas that are harmful, like nitrogen dioxide and of course carbon monoxide, but nitrogen dioxide. So that's why you want to turn on the vent and open up the windows. when you're cooking with gas, which I guess I should do. So it's a little bit more noisy for just a little bit longer. Wow, 10 minutes goes by quickly. Well, here's serving 2.5 of the day, so I'm halfway there. And I brought some cherry tomatoes over, so that'll get me to 3. And then I'm gonna have butternut squash, which I don't know how much of that I'll eat, but I mean, that's probably gonna get me to 5 before dinner time. Oh, it's just lunchtime. Quinoa doesn't count, but quinoa is really good. It's kind of like a grain, but it's actually a seed. It has all the amino acids you need for protein. All the essential amino acids are in quinoa. So quinoa is really good. Oats. I got these cherry tomatoes and peanuts. Unsalted. So here's an important thing that I've talked about before, but it's worth talking about multiple times because it's very important. And it's not exactly a simple concept. But I'm debating about waiting to talk about it when it's a little less noisy, because it's so important. We need to focus about it. My watch says 1 more minute. Wow, that was fast. I like cherry tomatoes, especially when I'm driving, like a long distance or going for a backpacking trip, because it doesn't get messy. It keeps for a while too, especially when you're backpacking. You don't have to keep it cool. And when you eat it, it's a nice little package. It doesn't get your fingers messy. Tastes so good too. God. Oh, time flies so quickly. Okay, I think the quinoa's done. Well, I want to eat some mushrooms with it too. So we're gonna, that's what we're gonna do. We're going to here's the quinoa. We're gonna let it just sit there for a little bit. And then got some oyster mushrooms that we're gonna cook. We're gonna have a feast today. Now, these don't count as vegetables either, because they're closer to animals than they are plants. These are fungi. I mean, some of you who've been watching these videos, you know, you'll hear me like say these things over and over again, but you know, I think it's worth talking about. You know, maybe someone's watching this for the first time. You know, they haven't watched other videos, so I like to share important information. Now we need a small, medium skillet. Medium skillet. And for the sake of the recording, I'm gonna not turn on the vent here. I got the windows open. So these mushrooms, we can I just slice them up here, and you can put some olive oil or something, or butter, but you know, I've been trying to eat healthier and not add in extra oil, sugar, or salt to my foods. And so, and there's a way of cooking where you can cook whatever you want, but without the cooking oil, and it's a little tricky. It's a little tricky, but essentially what you do is you just add a very thin layer of water. I like having just a cup of water. And then it's essentially like steaming it, sort of. Steaming / boiling it. But you want to just keep a thin layer of water on the bottom so that whatever you're cooking, mushrooms or vegetables, they don't start burning. And it's helpful to keep the cup of water there so that you can just add more. Now mushrooms, you know, they absorb water a lot, so this is maybe not the ideal cooking method for cooking mushrooms. They can absorb a lot of water and get soggy. I found this works pretty decently. And I'll talk about why I am not adding salt, sugar, and oil. But I have a hard time multitasking. So I'm probably going to wait on describing. Ooh, pretty bowl. Got the quinoa. Just gonna spoon a bunch in here. So you can kind of tell when it's done when there's like a little tail. Like a little tail. I don't know if you can see. Like a little curly tail that comes out on the side. So it kind of wraps around. Alright, we can come back for more. Let's cook these mushrooms up. So these are oyster mushrooms. They grow off of dead things. So some mushrooms, they live in a partnership with trees that are alive. I think they're called mycorrhizal. But some mushrooms, they just live off of dead trees that have fallen or died. And oyster mushrooms are one of those. I think they're called saprobes. Saprobes? I don't know the exact word. But oyster mushrooms are one of them that does that. These are king oyster mushrooms. So the oyster mushrooms that I can find out in the forest over here, they look slightly different. These are like really tall. These mushrooms are tall. Like, I'm trying to pick up one. So it's like, here's the base, and then here's the cap, and it's really thick stalk, or stem, or stipe, whatever you want to call it. But the oyster mushrooms that are here in the forest, they're slightly different. They're more like cap and a smaller stalk. But the reason why you can see these in grocery stores more regularly is because it's easier to grow mushrooms that live off of dead things. Because you can just add, oh, so here the water is running out, so I'm just adding a little bit more water to cook it just a tad bit longer. And yeah, so it's easier to find mushrooms like this because it's easier to grow. It's harder to, you can't grow the mycorrhizal mushrooms like chanterelles in a factory because you need a live tree, and you can't have a live tree in the factory. So those other mushrooms, they are harder to get because you have to get them from the forest. But these you can grow. Like I'm growing some over there in that block of food for the mushroom. I like the taste of mushrooms. I don't really eat meat, like hardly at all anymore, for a number of reasons. Whether that's partly from health reasons, because eating too much animal foods has been linked to, well, cancers and health problems and shorter lifespan with more health problems. But is that because of animal foods, or is that because of some other property of animal foods? I don't know. So there's a correlation and causation. That means, like, did something cause the problem, or did something come along with that thing that caused the problem, but the thing that you're measuring is not actually causing it, it's just correlated? I suspect that it's a correlation problem and not a causation. I suspect. And I'll explain more in a second. But either way, you know, why, even if it's not the cause, if it's just correlated, you know, why subject your body to that? All right, so we got quinoa with king oyster mushrooms. We got some squash on the way, and Doobie is definitely going to want some of this. So we're going to make sure she gets some. She's going to get a bigger bowl today. Oh, she's already ready. She's looking. Now, this king oyster mushroom, though, is pretty big, and she just kind of tends to swallow things just in one gulp. And then that's not going to be good for her, so I'm going to actually cut this up. Here's king oyster mushroom. We're going to cut it into tiny slivers for my baby doggy child. I love her a lot. Why am I cutting it that way? Oh, it's hot. mushrooms kind of taste like meat. So, I mean, I like the taste of meat. I grew up eating meat. So, having mushrooms is nice for me because I like the taste. Okay, maybe we'll do one more for Doobie. One more. Cut this in half, and then we'll cut this lengthwise. Should have done that with the other one. There. That's plenty of mushrooms for Doobie. Oh yeah, she's gonna like that. We're gonna give her some quinoa as well. Alright, so got the mushrooms on the bottom, quinoa on top. Oh yeah, she's gonna really like that. You can see she's already excited. But we gotta let it cool a little bit. Well, bon appetit, my friends, and my doggy. Let's see if your quinoa is cool enough. Let's watch her eat for a sec. Wait. Eat. Now, she does get her own doggy kibble, so this is just extra on top of her own doggy kibble. She really likes quinoa and mushrooms. Look at that tail, all the way up. He's a happy dog. Very happy dog. All right, now she's making me hungry. So those studies about animal protein and plant protein, you know, there's many of them. And I have not found any that show the opposite, that animal protein was healthier and led to a longer life than predominantly plant protein. I've never seen any medical study that show the opposite. So look it up yourself. You know, some people argue with me on the comments about that, but I've never seen one. Show me one. Doobie's already done. But I don't think that, I think that actually part of it is a correlation problem, not a causation problem. And I think it's because, well, my suspicion is that everything is related to the accumulation of sodium. And this is my own theory, okay? So this is not a widely accepted theory or thought. Well, I think humans in this culture are getting way too much sodium, and it's accumulating in their body, in their skin and muscle, and perhaps other areas that have collagen, like bone or joints. It's just good. You really only need about 500 milligrams of sodium in the day. And one slice of cheese pizza is 500 milligrams of sodium. One sandwich is, depending on what kind of sandwich you have, is at least 500 probably. Just the bread alone is, for a small sandwich, is about 200 milligrams plus whatever is in between the two slices of bread. One slice of cheese is 100 milligrams. Most people add a couple slices of cheese, big slice of bread, and meat or whatever, filling inside, and sauce like mayonnaise or mustard. And when you add all that up, it can easily be 1,000 or more milligrams of sodium, and you only need 500 for the whole day. Most Americans get over 3,000 easy. And you don't need that much. In fact, I think that's what's causing a lot of health problems, is the accumulation of many, many meals of eating too salty and not sweating. Like if you're sweating, then you're losing sodium in your sweat. And so if you're sweating all day, then you need to eat saltier to replenish that. But most of us aren't doing that. Like I live in Washington State, it's cold right now. Even if I go running outside, I may not sweat that much because it's cold, it's cool outside. And I'm not working a construction job where I'm using my body the whole day. Or farming in the sun. So I think that what's happening to a lot of people is that they're getting these chronic health problems. Diabetes, high cholesterol, hypertension, cancer, joint dysfunction, degenerative joint disease, autoimmune problems. I think a lot of it is my idea. It's totally my idea. It's not like a representative idea of the medical thought right now. This is my idea. Is that the chronic overload of sodium in people's diet is leading to these problems. Because it's not just the kidneys. It's not like you eat a salty meal and the kidneys pee out the extra salt. There's a buffer where it's stored in your skin. Your skin's covering your whole body, and your muscles, and where there's collagen, which is connective tissue, joints, bones. And that's a relatively new knowledge since like late 20 teens. And so I think the fix to a lot of chronic problems is to just eat way less sodium and sweat, so get it out of your system. But it's complicated because you can drink too much water too quickly and die from having too low of sodium in your blood. Doesn't mean you had too low sodium in your whole body. It means you had too little sodium in your blood. You could still have a ton of sodium stored up in your skin and elsewhere, but too little sodium in your blood because you diluted it by drinking too much water too quickly. You can die from that. People have died from it. I mean, there's many cases of people dying from that. So when you're on this kind of diet, you gotta be really careful not to drink too much water too quickly. It's important to stay hydrated. Most people are dehydrated. So it's important to stay hydrated. Oh, I'm gonna let that roast just a little bit longer. So you want to have at least 500 milligrams on average over the day, each day averaged over, time period, to maintain your body, and you don't want to drink too much water too quickly. But there's several reasons why I think this is actually the right way to do things, because I was reading a lot about fasting. So fasting, water only fasting. Well, there's a couple of ways you can fast. Well, I'm talking about water only fasting. All you have is water. You don't have any tea, no coffee, just water for like a couple weeks. But you know, this is really hard on the body, so this is done under medical supervision, usually at a facility that is specialized in this. So, and when you come out of the water only fast, if you've been doing it for a while, you have to start refeeding in a particular way so you don't get sick. So I don't recommend people try it on their own. You should seek out one of these health clinics that do this, like True North Health Clinic in California. They do that. But the findings that they've been publishing is really fascinating. When people have only water for a prolonged period, like up to 40 days. No, it's 40 days. It's like 6 weeks, 6 to 8 weeks max, because I think that's like the max. It's very stressful on the body. So and of course you can't indefinitely do that, because then you start going to starvation. So fasting is not starvation. Fasting is your body is using the stuff that's stored up in fats and mainly the fat stores and the sodium stores, and it starts using that over time once you stop eating. You know, that's kind of like, well, ketosis is part of it. But you're not starving. You're actually mobilizing stored energy and minerals. Starving is when you get past that, when you've used up those stores, and then your body starts breaking down like muscle and other like heart tissue and stuff that you actually need to survive. That's starvation. So I'm not talking about starvation, I'm talking about fasting. And these men and women, doctors who are doing research on this at this True North Health Clinic are showing really interesting things that previously thought to be incurable metastatic breast cancer and other types of cancer that have metastasized throughout the body. They end up going away once people go on this water-only fasting, prolonged water-only fasting, under medical supervision. Which is fascinating because there is no treatment. You know, when people have widely metastatic, say, breast cancer, you can only irradiate so much, and you can only cut out so much of the tumors. Once they've spread all throughout the body, I mean, you can do chemotherapy, but you know, these patients have tried all of that, and they're about to die. But at this clinic, when they put those patients under a prolonged fast, they found that in some instances, not all, but in some, they're able to reverse the tumor growth and the tumors shrink down and disappear, which is totally fascinating because there's no other, I mean, these are patients that have tried all the other medical things, chemotherapy, radiation, surgery. Now, what are you doing when you're drinking only water for like 6 weeks, where you're not intaking any food or salt, sodium. So you know that the number 500 milligrams of sodium on average daily is a maintenance dose. I mean, maintenance amount. I mean, people have been fasting forever. People have been fasting for, as far as we can know in terms of writing, for prolonged periods, so just water only. You need water to survive more than a couple days, but you can survive without food or salt for much longer, like a couple months. So do you need 500 milligrams of sodium every day? No, you don't, because you can go off of your stores that you have in your body. But you have to be careful not to drink too much water too quickly. You gotta let your body adapt to how much water you're drinking. If you drink it too fast, then the amount of salt in the blood drops down too fast, and then your brain swells and you go into a coma and you die. So that's obviously not good. So this is a complicated topic, and Dr. Brooke Goldner has an excellent video that's like 7 minutes long, super clear and concise. Highly recommend checking that out. Maybe I'll put a link or something in the description. But she has a very good video. I think she just made like a week or two ago. Very clear explanation of how to think about it. But she doesn't talk too much about long-term sodium stores, which is what I'm talking about. So going back to the animal versus plant protein, I suspect that it's a correlation problem, because when you eat an animal flesh, it has sodium in the flesh, because that animal has sodium in their flesh, just like we do. And so I forget the numbers, I have to look it up. But I think like for serving of steak, I think it's like 50 milligrams of sodium. Or chicken is often injected with brine to make it taste better. And so I think that's like 100 milligrams of sodium in a serving of chicken, but you can easily look it up. I don't remember the numbers exactly because I don't eat meat regularly. But if you look at a serving of mushroom, that's going to be like 2 or 3 milligrams instead of like 100. Same thing with quinoa. Sodium on this unsalted roasted peanuts from Trader Joe's is 0. The sodium in this cherry tomato, is like pretty much 0. Same thing with this banana. But in all the animal foods, whether it's fish, chicken, beef, pork, they will have a significantly higher number of sodium milligrams in a serving. So I suspect that that's part of what's going on. And there's other stuff. There's cholesterol in the animal flesh that is not in any plants, because plants don't have that kind of cholesterol. They got a different kind that is not harmful to our body. So there's probably several things, but I think salt is probably very important. But do you need salt? Yes, salt is necessary. That's how our body holds on to water, and how our nerves and muscles fire. Like your heart pumps, it needs sodium to pump, and then you can pump the muscles. Plant-based foods that have sodium, greens actually have a decent amount. 1 cup of kale has 30 milligrams of sodium. Now that's still less than, say, like 100 milligrams in a serving of chicken. But kale, 1 cup has 30 milligrams. Arugula, all the other greens, spinach, and beans, chickpeas, black beans. Oh, nice. All right, I'm gonna go get the squash. Ta-da! Baby wants some too. I'll give her some when it cools. This is without any added oil or salt. And squash doesn't have that much sodium in it, unlike the greens and beans. So when I make the green smoothie, I put in 6 cups of kale and a cup of chickpeas. And that gets me to well, it's 30 milligrams per cup of kale times 6 is 180. And then 1 cup of chickpeas is 50 milligrams of sodium. Those are unsalted. It's just the sodium that's within the bean itself. And so that gives me 230. That's like half of what I need to maintain my body in the day, just from drinking the green smoothie. So, is this a no sodium diet? It is not a no sodium diet, but it is very low. And because it's low, you gotta be careful of drinking too much water, or if you're sweating a ton, you gotta eat saltier. And by a ton, I mean like sweating like for hours. You need to eat saltier. Well, I've talked about this before in other videos, but it's very important. And I recently experienced, how important this is. Because I made that video of accepting that there's no way to avoid collapse. That we're going to collapse because that's just the way we live in civilization is not sustainable. From the very beginning, and we just keep making it worse by like trying to avoid the collapse by making more technology and using more resources. It just keeps getting worse. But even from the very beginning. You look at the cities in Mesopotamia, the very first cities of civilization, there's this desert around there. There's no forest around it. There's no plants. It's just sand. Where there used to be forests where those cities started because people wrote about the forests that were there. So I made a video about there's no way to avoid collapse of civilization. We may prolong it a little bit more, but every time we prolong it, it gets worse because we destroy more of our environment. But I made that video, and after making that video, I was like, you know what? Maybe I'm just gonna like YOLO it. YOLO means you only live once. It usually means that you're gonna do something that is irresponsible. Risky or irresponsible. Doobie wants some squash. And so what I did do was my wife and I went on a date and had pizza. And it was delicious. Oh my gosh, it was so yummy. I had so much. And we ordered 2. Well, no, we ordered 1. And we ordered pasta with it. I'm gonna get Doobie's plate. And the pasta was super salty. Oh my gosh. So salty. I couldn't actually eat much of the pasta. It was just so salty. It had tomato base sauce on it. And, I mean, it tasted good, but I literally couldn't eat much of that. But I could eat the pizza. Pizza was very salty too. Cheese. We had it with mushrooms and some sausage. Because I was like really like YOLO. World's gonna end. Might as well just have a sausage and mushroom pizza. All right, girl. Here you go. She really likes the squash. Okay, I'm gonna try some myself. So, here we go. Oh, so good. No added salt or oil. It's not even, I didn't add any butter, no olive oil. no salt. It's just delicious by itself. It's so yummy. I could eat the skin too, but skin's kind of hard. I think I'll just eat the inside. So I ate like super salty, and we had leftover pizza because it was a big pizza. And then so the next day I ate the leftovers, and then the salt made me gain weight because I weighed myself pretty much every day. I was like 167.5 pounds, and then by like 2 days later or 3 days later, I was 171 pounds from 167. So that's plus 4 pounds. And I'm usually pretty stable, around 167. But yeah, shot up 4 pounds just from the salt and the fluid being accumulated from the salt. But also the eating salty makes me eat more than Thanks, girl. She's letting me know someone delivered something at the door. Thanks, girl. You're a good girl. Yeah, you're a good girl. Eating salty makes me eat more than I normally would. Yeah, and so like I was just so hungry, and then we found some like a box of chocolate chip cookie mix in the cupboard, and we're like, oh, let's do it. Still in the YOLO mode. And so we made chocolate chip cookies and ate them, most of them. There's still a couple left. And I just wanted to keep eating more and more and more. Like, you know, I was like, oh, let's get some like pho, which is a Vietnamese noodle broth that's salty. I just ate that, and yeah. So what I learned from that is that sorry, this is very chewy. What I learned from that is that when you eat salty, it makes you want to eat more food. That's probably why, like at bars and they put out like really salty nuts or salty like pretzels or something, so that you get like you want to drink more, and then the bar can make more money by serving you more beers and cocktails and food. But yeah, I got so hungry and just eating way more than I need to. And it's like a self-sustaining, like, positive reinforcement where, like, I would eat salty, I would eat more, and then I wanted to eat more, and then so I eat more salty, and then I want to eat more. And then 4 pounds later, my face is a little rounder. And that's just over, like, 3 days. And I think that that's kind of like our society, actually. Our society is like that, where, you know, we do things to, like, consume more. Consume, and then it gives us, like, a momentary, like, dopamine boost, a reward in our brain that's temporary. And then we're like, oh, I really want to do that again. I want to go, you know, take the jet airplane to go to Bali or something. I don't know, somewhere far away from where I am, and then, you know, eat a bunch of meat that was imported from Australia, like you know, Wagyu beef or something, you know, from Australia, and then lobsters from Maine. Even though I'm in Bali, I'm gonna eat all that stuff, and ooh, dopamine boost, woo! Now, I've never been to Bali, but this is an example. Is what I'm thinking about. And then you come back from the vacation, you're like, oh my gosh, that was so great, I gotta do it again. So you like work really hard and you work at a company that's just like, that's using all these resources in energy, and we're burning down trees and burning coal, releasing CO2 in the air, and you know, you're part of that company that's just using so much resources, and then they pay you some money, and then you're like, I'm gonna go back to Bali, or better yet, I'm gonna go to like Antarctica where there is no food and all the food is gonna be imported, and I'm gonna have my Australian Wagyu beef and my Maine lobster in Antarctica. Well, it's not good for the planet. But here, it's not good. It's not good for me to eat that way. Eat really salty. My body's gonna break down if I keep eating the way I did over the weekend. It'll break down pretty quickly. There's a dog that moved in upstairs. I think his name is Ferdinand. What a cool name. But sometimes Baby or Doobie. So Doobie's real name is Baby, but for our trail names is Gooby and Doobie. But so you'll sometimes hear me call her Baby. And that's her original name. We go by Gooby and Doobie because my wife calls us that. But Ferdinand sometimes talks to Baby through the ceiling. Ferdinand's up there somewhere, and then Baby talks to Ferdinand. If I ate like I did on the weekend every day, I would be obese and have diabetes and heart disease and die of cancer or autoimmune problem and have bad joints. No, I'm not going to do that. That would be really yummy, but those temporary dopamine boosts that last for a short time when I eat like a sausage and mushroom pizza are followed by a very long time of not feeling so good. Oh, one thing that some of you may notice, but I definitely notice, is that when I eat saltier, I have to wake up in the middle of the night to go pee because the fluid in my bladder is irritating to my bladder because it's saltier, and that salt irritates my bladder. And so I can't sleep the whole night. I have to get up and go pee. And then, you know, some people say, that's just getting old. It's not actually getting old, because when I don't eat salty and I've been sweating, I can sleep the whole night. And I still have a full bladder, but it doesn't irritate my bladder lining. I don't have to get up and go pee. I can just sleep the whole night and wake up and then go pee when I wake up. So that's another way that salt interrupts your quality of sleep. You have to get up, maybe you turn on the light so you can make sure you're peeing in the right place. Yeah, too much salt really is not good for the body. And I think that is representative of how our culture is really unhealthy. And when you don't eat salty, you get full. Like I'm getting to the point where I'm getting pretty full. Your appetite is less. Your appetite is just enough to get what your body needs. And then when your body gets what it needs, appetite turns off. I definitely have leftovers, but I'm gonna finish the mushrooms and maybe this piece of squash. Doobie wants some. Doobie/baby. Let me give her some more. Here you go, girl. Eat. So, in extending the metaphor of the body to our culture and our society, I think one way that we could make our culture and our society healthier is by doing what that True North Health Clinic does. A version of water-only fasting, but for the society as a whole. I think it would be good for like a week or something, or a couple weeks. Just like everybody chill out, like try not to consume so much. Just buy essential things like healthy foods that you're gonna prepare at home, and you gotta pay your rent and got water and gas. But if you're not like buying a bunch of like junk on Amazon and buying a new car, like if you just repair and reuse your car, or even use a bicycle, just for like a week, a year, or a couple weeks a year, just like we like set out like a time to just like spend time with family and friends that are nearby, not like across the country, no like transcontinental flights. Just chill out at home. Hell, watch like something on TV or YouTube. Spend some time outside walking with your friends and dog. Or I see people walk their cats. It's kind of weird, but that's cool. Spend time in nature if it's nearby, but just like for a week, just don't consume so much. Don't buy like new clothes. Use your old clothes. I think that would be like the equivalent of a water only fast. And I think that would help people realize that they can be happy with fewer things. And in a way, the lockdowns and COVID kind of did that. People couldn't travel, couldn't even go to the store. You just gotta like stay home. And while that did cause a lot of grief for everybody, I think in some ways it had some benefits that people realized that, wait, what am I doing with my life? Does working this job that I currently have, does it actually like make me happy? Why am I working so hard to like go on a vacation for a week at some exotic place when I can be happy just at home with my partner and my children or my doggy? Maybe I should work less because I don't really need that much money to be content with life. I think that is how we make our society a little healthier, is just like some time to just chill out. And it doesn't even have to be organized across like the whole society. People can just do it whenever they can. Like, if they're like, oh, I'm just gonna tell my work, I'm gonna take a week or two off, and then literally just chill out. Find out what makes you happy. Now, not everyone has the luxury of doing that because of rent. Rent is always going up, never goes down. Well, at least it doesn't seem to go down. Car payments, cell phone bill, internet bill, subscriptions to Netflix. No, but other stuff, if you can, instead of buying a jet ski or something, just like chill out. I think that would be, I think help a lot of people. Well, yeah, like I acquired a van from my friend for $1. It was just sitting in his driveway. And I have it, and a lot of people like convert it out, make it super fancy, but I don't think I'm gonna do anything to it. I just took out the seats so that I can lay down in the back. I'm just gonna use my backpacking gear. to sleep in it. Oh, these are really good, by the way. So yeah, I thought about, well, should I like add a solar panel and battery and all this stuff, and like, you know, internet in case I want to like upload videos from if I go for a while. And I'm like, you know what? No, I'm just gonna chill out. And the van is really nice. I can sleep in it. I can carry more supplies. That's all. That's all. But I did buy something yesterday, so this is kind of hypocritical. But I did buy something. I do want to show you what I did buy. So yeah, this is kind of hypocritical, but I'm going to tell you anyways. I did buy something yesterday, and it's actually with the money I made from YouTube. So thank you for supporting this channel. All of you who watch this channel, really appreciate it. Some of you have donated money. I appreciate that too. Thank you very much. I'm very grateful for that. That allows me to pay the $350 or $60 I paid for the title on the van, so that Doobie and I can go on adventures and van camp. Pays for the gas to take that van places. It pays for like blankets. So we got some down blankets for Doobie and I to stay warm because winter is coming. I mean, it's kind of already here. But it also paid for something really cool. I'm gonna eat just a little bit more squash before I show you. And I'll tell you the reason why I got this thing. Making that video last week where I talked about accepting collapse, it actually was very liberating in a way, because I always wanted to talk about it and think about it, but I always felt like I couldn't talk about it, even with myself, because it's just socially not acceptable to talk about that stuff. But I did it anyways. And it was liberating to realize that no matter what I do, I'm not gonna be able to stop collapse. I could fight, I could put my neck on the railroad line and, you know, protest or whatever. It's not gonna make a difference. I mean, yeah, in the end, it's not gonna make a difference. Civilization is gonna collapse. So coming to that realization and making a video about it really was liberating. And it made me think about, what do I actually want to spend my time doing? Now that I can't stop what's happening, that there's really no way to make it stop. And in that video, I talked about learning foraging, which I am. Oh. Well, here's one thing that I foraged. But this might get me a little sidetracked, but I'm gonna talk about it real quick. This is some Amanita Muscaria, and it's drying. And I want to warn people that I've never tried this. I've only had the gummies made from the chemical that's within this mushroom. I want to warn people that the more I learn about this mushroom, the more dangerous I realize it is. Because this mushroom, it has a couple psychoactive compounds. And this is illegal, by the way. There is no restriction, except in Louisiana it's illegal. But in Washington, totally legal. And it just grows outside. And so I took one mushroom cap. But this has some chemicals in it that are neurotoxic. That means it can kill neurons, which means it can make you dumber. Because when a neuron dies, it's gone forever. And so there's a very specific way that people prepare this by drying it. But even when you dry it, it doesn't get rid of that compound completely. So just a human being to another human being, I highly recommend not messing with this mushroom. And if you do, you might make yourself dumber or worse die, because there's many people that have died from taking too much of this. They literally go into a coma and die. Their heart stops. They stop breathing. So, in field guides and foraging guides, it's labeled as toxic and poisonous. Rightfully so. It is very dangerous, especially if you have no idea what you're doing. So, unless you want to spend many hours learning about how to use that mushroom, I actually discourage that. There's easily purchased gummies that are available throughout the whole country, at least in the United States, that are made from the one chemical of many that's in this mushroom, and it's easy to get. I harvested this in the intent to have some, but the more I read about it, the more hesitant I am to actually try it. Yeah, so I don't recommend people try the mushroom. Just try the gummy. The gummy's great. It's got muscimol, which is the chemical that really is psychoactive, but it doesn't have the other one, ibotenic acid, which is neurotoxic, used to cause brain lesions in animal studies, which we shouldn't be doing animal studies because animals have feelings and they're conscious, but people do that. So that is my public service announcement. Don't mess with this mushroom. It's super dangerous. The one that's illegal, psilocybin, doesn't have that problem, but it's illegal in the United States. I've never tried that, but it doesn't have the problem of Amanita Muscaria. So some people have asked about it, and I've been curious about it, but it is very dangerous. So just want to put that out there. But going back, so I did get sidetracked. Going back, rewinding. Some people wouldn't get that reference because people don't remember like videotapes if you're younger. When you rewind, it goes. It makes this funny sound. But we don't have those anymore. So if I do that, a lot of people don't know what I'm talking about. Yeah. Going back, when I was liberating, and I was like, I don't have to fight this because it's not possible to prevent. So what am I going to do? Well, I'm going to try to make my life better and the people around me better. And YouTube, my wife, my doggy, my friends. I wanted to learn foraging, which I am currently learning. Actually, I got some mushroom books and other like foraging books for plants. But the other thing I really like is playing music. So I played music as a kid. And when I went to medical school and residency, I stopped playing. And I had a guitar, an acoustic guitar. My dad plays guitar. I had an acoustic, but I stopped playing because it was giving me calluses on my fingertips on my left hand, and I couldn't feel as well. And with neurosurgery, everything's fingertip surgery, and so I stopped playing because it was giving me calluses. But I liked to play the guitar. I wasn't good at it. I could just play chords and sing. But I stopped because of my surgery job. But now that I'm not a surgeon anymore, I can have calluses on my fingers again. So yesterday, and so I've been playing my wife's piano, and I played that one song, the Elton John song, and I'm practicing a new song to record and sing for the channel, for you guys and girls. And so it really makes me happy. There's a couple songs I've been practicing on the piano, and I got that bass guitar a while ago, and I haven't been playing that one as much, but I decided to use the money from YouTube that is possible thanks to you all. Using that I used that yesterday to get a guitar that was on sale. It was list price is $1,200, but it was being sold for $4.99, and I was like, oh my god, okay, I got a guitar. Let me show you. Let me show you the guitar. Dangerous mushroom. I don't even know if I'm gonna try that. I might just do the gummies. So I don't recommend people try that because you could die. I don't want anyone to die or get really dumb. Okay, so this is the bass guitar that I've been messing around with. This is a guitar I got yesterday. And I haven't played guitar in a long time. Let's see if I can get this camera set up where I can play some. I think that'll work. Yeah. This guitar is a semi-hollow body. So you'll notice that it's thin. It's not like an acoustic guitar. But it does still have some air spaces in the guitar. I really like the color too. It's called Raspberry Tea. This is a Epiphone ES335, which I think has been around since the 50s or 60s. But you can see these F holes like a violin. See, my finger goes in. So it's got some air in there, but this is a solid block here of wood. So it's called a semi-hollow body. So, and I like the sound of it. Now, I probably won't play too much because it might trip the copyright stuff on YouTube, and then this YouTube can still be monetized, but for way less. Now, keep in mind, I haven't played in like decades. Let's see here. Let's see. This is a bass guitar amp, so it's really amplifying the bass notes. But yeah, this is fun. So I'm gonna practice. That song is that Billie Eilish song that I want to sing for you all sometime. But if I didn't have this YouTube channel and have this support and monetization, I don't think I would have bought either of these. I would have just played the piano and tried to minimize my expenses as much as possible since I wasn't working. But now I'm kind of working through making these videos. It doesn't feel like work. It's a lot of fun. And now I can play this beautiful guitar, which I really like the sound. The sound is so cool. It sounds so nice. Like, I love that sound. So I can play this and sing, and maybe bring a smile to people's faces on YouTube. And it really is possible because of you all. Thank you. Tonight I'm going to a mushroom lecture with my wife. My wife is starting to get interested in the mushroom thing. So tonight I'm going to go to a mushroom lecture, and tomorrow I've got my therapy in the morning. I might try those mushrooms and they might make me dumber. Or I might just have a gummy, I'm not sure. But either way, I hope that you have a wonderful day, and I will see you next time. Don't really have any hikes planned, but I think I'm gonna read up on some mushrooms and some plants, and then go out with Doobie into probably into the mountains, because they're gonna get covered in snow in a month. And so we're gonna go there, and then once they get covered in snow, then we'll go explore the coastal forest at a lower elevation. Well, I hope that you have a wonderful day or evening wherever you are. And I'll make a song sometime. I have to practice though. But this seems easier to play than the piano. The piano is, there's just so many finger movements that it takes a long time for me to practice a song, to play it well enough and sing it. So I'm working on that every day. And I got this one song I really like that I'm gonna play at some point. Hopefully within a couple weeks. All right, bye.